Hi people, it's Crysis here with a review for Crysis. Being a game that came out in 2007, I wouldn't be reviewing Crysis if it didn't have some kind of significance in the gaming world. Chances are, if you've already heard of the game, you know why Crysis is so significant, but I'll get to that in a moment. The story involves a squad of special ops soldiers being dropped onto an island to rescue a group of archaeologists, who have been captured as a result of a hostile takeover. Not long after arriving on the island, you begin to realise there is something very strange going on. Although I certainly found the story entertaining, it's clearly not the game's primary focus. It merely serves to supplement the gameplay and therefore avoids becoming overly intrusive. I'd say most of the characters are fairly forgettable with the exceptions of Psycho and Prophet. Psycho in particular has a distinctive personality that prevents him from becoming just another gun-toting soldier. What's more is that the in-game cutscenes show off the excellent facial animations, which are still impressive even when compared to modern games. The gameplay in Crysis centres around the nanosuit, a high-tech piece of military equipment that grants the wearer numerous tactical options in the heat of combat. As well as providing basic protection, the suit also allows you to focus energy on one of 4 tasks. Maximum speed allows you to move quickly around the environment, especially when sprinting. Maximum strength allows you to do more melee damage, throw objects further, and jump higher. Maximum armor will absorb a set amount of damage until you start losing actual health. Lastly, cloaking allows you to become almost invisible. You can use the cloak to play the game stealthily, or just to quickly flank an enemy who is laying down suppressing fire on your position. The nanosuit as a gameplay device is superb. It allows the player to adapt quickly to situations. Furthermore, choosing the method of adaptation creates an element of difficulty. Not every suit power is right for every situation. You can also modify your weapon out of or mid-combat with numerous attachments such as scopes and silencers. The general shooting mechanics are strangely satisfying. Although aiming seems more challenging than other first-person shooters, ultimately this just makes every kill more rewarding. For roughly 2/3 of the game you are doing more or less the same thing. You are given large open environments to take out enemy positions in any way you see fit. You can choose to be stealthy if you want, but I prefer to go in all guns blazing. During this portion of the game, the sense of freedom you get allows for numerous methods of completion, and the element of choice is very much appreciated. However, in the game's final third, you start to fight aliens instead of humans, and the levels become far more linear. Personally, I much preferred the game's earlier structure, but at least it prevents the gameplay from becoming stale. As well as being on foot, you are also thrown into vehicles every now and then, including tanks and VTOLs. I think it's also worth mentioning that Crysis has a very different feel to its sequels Crysis 2 and Crysis 3. Although the gameplay in Crysis is very good, the graphics are what made the game famous, and in some ways, infamous. Upon its release in 2007, Crysis was years ahead of the competition. Sure, we have great looking games today, but I'm yet to see a next-gen title that stands irrefutably above all competition. Amazingly, that's what Crysis accomplished, but of course this came at a price. Most PCs at the time, including my own, struggled to run the game at a decent frame rate, even on the lowest settings. Only the most powerful gaming PCs could play the game to its full potential, but this meant the average consumer never really got to play the game properly. Crytek had made something that was way ahead of its time, and as a result, Crysis quickly became the go-to benchmark for PC gaming. For at least 3 years, I remember judging the standard of a PC by whether or not it could play Crysis. A crude measurement, I admit, but that's just how much of an impact this game made. So how does the game fare in 2014? Well, not so surprisingly, the game is not nearly as visually stunning as it once was, but it's by no means ugly. In fact, Crysis could just about pass for a modern PS4 release. One disadvantage working against Crysis though are the big level sizes. While this makes for some great gameplay, this does mean that pop-in is fairly frequent even on max settings. For the most part though, the game is still very good looking even by today's standards. So, is Crysis still worth buying despite its age? Well, considering you can now purchase Crysis at a discount, I would say yes, it is. Despite being best known for its visuals, the gameplay in Crysis is surprisingly dynamic and fun. That being said, if you don't care about graphics at all, it might be worth giving a miss. I should mention the multiplayer has been shut down recently, but the single player is more than good enough on its own. As always people, thanks very much for watching and see you next time.